The Winning Edge.
We've got people from all over. We've got, I see several names of quarterbacks and parents that I've worked with from all over the state of North Carolina and the U.S. We've got people from as far away as Oregon. I see on here, I've got people from Green Bay, Wisconsin. And it's always a pleasure to have people from so far away chime in. The reason I wanted to do this call is because I talk to a lot of quarterbacks. I talk to a lot of parents, but I wanted them to hear from somebody who's going through it. I wanted them to hear from somebody who's embodying the quarterback position, who's living it, and who's lived it from a real intentional perspective from a very early age. And the reason I know this is because Pauly and Pauly's parents are good friends of mine. Paul Sr., Pauly's dad, was also a quarterback at Bowling Green, and his mom was a track athlete, a Hall of Fame track athlete at Bowling Green. And they're from my hometown in Central Michigan. And so I've known of Pauly from a very early age, and I've gotten to know Pauly since about the time he was in 7th or 8th grade. And I've followed his quarterback journey with great interest. I've actually had an opportunity to work with Pauly some as well. I don't take credit for Pauly's accomplishments. I don't take credit for his skill development. He's worked with other quarterback coaches in and around the state of Michigan. But I think Pauly and I have developed a special relationship over time, not necessarily from a skill development perspective on the field, but a lot of times phone calls, a lot of times just text messages. I think Pauly has known that I've always been there watching him, paying attention with great interest, following his journey. And today is all about Pauly teaching you, the young quarterback, hey, man, this is the journey you're embarking on, okay? This is what it takes from a dude who's done it, okay? So, Pauly, thank you so much for your time tonight. It means so much to all of us. I want you to bring the heat, Pauly. I want you to bring it like it's game time, okay? And I want you to teach these guys from the bottom of your heart, from everything you know, what this quarterback journey means to you, what's required, drop some gold nuggets on these young quarterbacks and these parents and some coaches that are on of, dude, this is how you can succeed at this position, because you have created your success, Pauly, with grit, intentionality, hard work, resiliency, and you're still going through it. In fact, you're just getting started as a freshman in college. So Pauly, tell us about yourself and how did your QB journey begin?
Yeah, so what's up, guys? I appreciate you all being on here. Thank you, Coach, for having me. I've been excited for this. Like Coach said, I'm a quarterback here at Wofford College. I just finished up my freshman year, and it was crazy. I mean, college football is awesome. I don't think there's anything harder than playing quarterback at the collegiate level, but I don't think I'd rather do anything else. I mean, quarterback is special. So my journey, it began ever since I could remember. I mean, I can remember throwing a ball since some of my earliest memories. And I started playing actual tackle football in about 3rd grade, but I can remember my journey really starting in about 5th, 6th grade. I can remember having serious talks with my dad about if this is something that I wanted to do, this is something that I want to be serious about, that he would help me with whatever I need to do. And I think 5th, 6th grade is where it all started.
You had a couple of older sisters who were both scholarship basketball players in college, Pauly. You're the only boy in your family. Did your parents push football on you? Did your dad, having played football, did he push it on you, or did he encourage you to just play, try multiple sports and kind of let you figure it out?
Yeah, I mean, I played everything growing up. I played basketball, baseball too. I ran track a couple of years in middle school, but football was always something I loved more than anything else. I mean, I think playing multiple sports is important. I wouldn't just focus on one. I'd always play as many as you can, but I always loved football more than anything.
Tell me about the early days of learning how to throw a football.
I can just remember me and my dad in the front yard always playing catch. I mean, I'm sure I'm sure I bugged him a little too much on wanting to throw. I was just always throwing, and it started off natural, but then once I got a little older and stronger, then working on the mechanics and just trying to be perfect with every throw that I did.
Why the quarterback position, Pauly? Why did you gravitate to that? What excites you about the quarterback position?
I think something that's different about quarterback than any other position is that not only, I mean, obviously you touch the ball every play, so you have to make important decisions, but you're just in control of everything. You're going to be in control of the outcome of the game. Um, you're in control of what everybody else does. You have to know what everybody else does. And I mean, it's sometimes it's a curse and a blessing. I mean, you're gonna be on the front page no matter what, whether you threw three picks and lost the game or you threw the game winning touchdown. And that's what I love about it is that you get to control the outcome.
You do, and I'm glad you brought that up because so often quarterbacks get, they get a lot of credit when things go well, but they also get a lot of blame when things don't go well, even when it's not necessarily their fault. I see quarterbacks all the time that are getting beat up on social media, getting benched, getting, other quarterbacks getting opportunities to play ahead of them because maybe it's not their fault. Maybe the receivers couldn't separate and get open. Maybe the offensive line didn't give them that extra half second they needed. So many things outside of our control, but everybody wants to blame the quarterback. And I always remind these quarterbacks, say, hey, listen, dude, you signed up for it. You signed up for it. Okay. Remember what you signed up for, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So you've got to build yourself as a complete person of character and resilience to be able to handle these times when it's not even your fault. And I think you experienced that certainly in your journey. And I know you did this year as well, which we'll get into later. But Pauly, other sports, you were a multi-sport athlete. What are your thoughts on playing multiple sports when you really want to focus on being a quarterback?
Yeah, I think playing multiple sports is really important. In high school, I played basketball and football, and I can remember going into my sophomore year, I just wanted to play football, and my dad won't let me. And he told me that just go out for this season, play, and then maybe next year, if you still don't want to play, then you don't have to. And I can remember going out for the team, and it was the most fun year. It might have been more fun than the football season. It was the most fun season that I've ever had. And I think it helps you, no matter what sport it is, outside of football, playing something else is important and will keep you ready for the season.
I love it. I played college football, and I tell people to this day, I think I enjoyed high school basketball more than I enjoyed high school football. I mean, I loved football, but I really had a good time playing basketball as well. So, and those skills, the skills that you develop in other sports, a lot of times those things transfer over. The footwork, the ability to shift direction, the ability to see things, right? See things developing. You were a point guard and you were able to see things develop in front of you, right? And distribute the ball. I mean, those things translate, don't they?
Oh yeah, I mean definitely. But by playing point guard, just anticipating throws or passes just helped me out. Being able to see and just court vision and all that is just super important, especially for playing quarterback.
Love that, the vision development part of it. Not obviously the footwork as well. I had college scouts. I remember Central Michigan coaches, football coach, when I was being recruited my senior year. They came to my high school basketball game. I was like, Coach, what'd you come to my basketball? They said, Eric, we wanted to see you move your feet. So yeah, I think the benefits that gain from other sports are huge. Pauly, tell us about what you did specifically. Yes, you had a dad that played college football and was a quarterback, but he was also your dad, right? And a lot of times kids don't like to listen to dad. They like them to stay in that dad lane. So your dad did something which I love, your mom and dad, and they embraced the idea of you going outside of them and getting some help to develop your skill set as a quarterback. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so like you said, the main thing, I mean, I think I worked with my dad more than anybody else to develop, but I think around fifth, sixth, seventh grade-ish, we started with going to some camps and going to some other trainers. And I think just getting different perspectives from other people And I mean, you can be working with the best person on the planet, but they're not going to know the same things as other people. So I mean, getting different perspectives from other people, and then just being coachable, taking in anything that you can. I mean, still to this day on my phone, I have a folder of notes that I just take from other people. I mean, it could be from a Zoom call, it could be something I see on TV while I'm watching a game. It could be what one of my coaches said, what another player says. Just being coachable and taking down. I have so many notes of just little things that people say that I love.
That's so cool. Pauly, I bet you're going to look back. In fact, you probably already do, and really value those miles and the car drives with your dad. Just being able to spend time with your dad or your mom driving and going out and seeing those different quarterback coaches and going to throw sessions throughout the state of Michigan. Really good stuff. Pauly, talk about, we're going to get into this quite a bit. Two things I want to really focus on in this call today is the mental understanding of the game, or quarterback IQ. And I want to talk about leadership development as well. You moved because of COVID in 2020. You were at Alma, Michigan. You had started on the varsity as a sophomore. Pretty small school, not super small. They graduated a couple hundred people, maybe a year, maybe not quite that many. But all of a sudden, you didn't know if you were going to, right before the season was supposed to start, you didn't know because of COVID if you were going to be able to have a season. So you guys packed up the car and moved to Savannah, Georgia to go play for Coach Hockman, who was my teammate, your dad and I's teammate, who's been an incredible football coach, just a very well-respected football coach in the whole nation. Very successful, has had multiple quarterbacks going to play at the college level. You guys packed up and you went to Savannah, Georgia on a leap of faith, moving from central Michigan, okay, small town, okay, let's just say it, lily white, not much of a cultural diversity, into Savannah, Georgia, completely different culture. And you had to absorb yourself in this culture and build relationships with teammates that, must have been somewhat foreign to you. Tell me about that process and what you did. What did you do intentionally, Pauly, to integrate to a new environment, new teammates, new culture, big school, kind of big time football? That was impressive to watch. So to walk us through that a little bit.
Yeah, so after my freshman season, obviously that's when COVID hit and we weren't sure what was going on. So like you said, the leap of faith. And I remember my dad and I were sitting down eating dinner on a Wednesday, and we made the decision and packed up and left Saturday morning. And Monday was the first day of practice. So it was crazy, and still going into my sophomore year. So I was still really young and not as vocal as older guys can be when it comes to meeting new people and being a leader and those things. And this is kind of the same thing that I did when I first got to college. And it was just putting my head down and grinding. And that just earned respect from so many people. And then once you are able to fit in there for a little bit longer, and then just getting to know people, asking them questions.
Okay, putting your head down and grinding. That what you're saying is actions. Okay.
Yeah,
action. We're leading by example.
If you're shy or you don't know how to talk to people at first, just putting your head down and grinding and showing that you belong there and that you can do it will help you out when it comes to that stuff. And then just getting to know people, asking them questions outside of football, learning about them, learning about their families, and just asking them as much as they can, because then they start to trust you and you just build relationships.
So you're intentional about getting in a relationship with your teammates, getting to know them, asking them questions about their personal life, what their mom and dad did for a living, what other sports they were interested in. What did you do? Did you connect with kids with video games? Did you have them over to the house? Did you try to, hey, mom and dad, can we bring Joey or John, whatever their name is, to dinner tonight? Or, I mean, was it intentional? How intentional was it?
Yeah, no, I definitely did those things. And another thing is I was always picking people up for practice, giving them rides, all those type of things, asking guys to go to dinner, go and get food after practice, just hanging out, waiting with guys when they're waiting for rides. All
Hanging
those
out
types.
and waiting for guys when they're waiting for rides. Okay. Yeah, that's that's a little detail. That's huge though.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Just all those things matter.
Okay. Just looking for opportunities, right? To lead. Being observant, looking for opportunities to lead, and making sure you're on point with your actions, showing up for meetings on time, just doing all the right things. I know, talking to Coach Hockman, your coach there in Savannah, he was blown away. He was blown away at the level of your leadership from the very beginning, just how on point you were with being on time, being respectful, just being just a tremendous example around the teammates. You split time with a senior that year. You split series, didn't you? You didn't
Yeah.
come in and
So
just take over, did you?
yeah, we went every other series for the first half of the season. Yeah.
What did you learn from Coach Hockman? Now, Coach Hockman, Pauly, I believe you were his ninth consecutive or 10th consecutive quarterback that he's coached to go on to play college football at some level. He is a quarterback guru in terms of the way he develops quarterbacks, the way he teaches them the game of football. What did you learn? What did you learn from Coach Hockman? To give us a few things that really stood out to you coming from into that environment.
Yeah, I definitely learned a lot. I especially remember right when we got there, going in before practice and after practice, and just sitting and meeting with him and getting on the board. And just, I think the biggest thing that I learned was just more X's and O's of the game, learning about how things work, coverages. I remember we just spent a lot of time in the off seasons going on board work, and he would put me up on the board even though I wasn't comfortable with it, and making me
Yeah.
draw
Yeah.
things up and making me teach it to other guys, and those things are just benefited me so much for the future.
Okay, now I got to share this video now that we brought this up. So let me share my screen here. Okay. This is Pauly's bedroom. This is Pauly's bedroom back in Michigan. Okay. Now I'm gonna talk about the board here in a minute, but guys, look at this video, okay? I had his dad take this video because I saw his room when I was visiting one time. I mean, seriously, is there any questions as to why you were successful as a quarterback after looking at this video? Guys, this is controlling your environment, man. This is putting yourself in fertile soil. This is putting yourself in a position to succeed, where you're living with intentionality. You're inspiring yourself. You're energizing yourself. You're all about it. I mean, look at this thing, from the bed sheets to the walls. This thing is all about football and being a quarterback. Now, the reason I wanted to show this is you used to have a whiteboard in your room. I've seen videos of that your dad has sent me of you being on your board in your room before. Now Coach Hockman's putting you on the board because look at guys here. If you've watching videos is one thing, but getting up and drawing it out on a board or in a notebook is a whole nother thing. You're going to learn at a higher level when you can draw it up yourself, when you can teach it to someone else. Pauly's going to share.
That. I got it up in the wall, up on my wall in my room here.
Oh, there you go. See, he brought his board his board was so important to him, guys, that he took it to college with him. So I just love that. Just the mental aspects, knowing football. Give us a couple examples of what the depth of what Coach Hockman, like, where did he start with you? Like teaching the defensive fronts, or just kind of the whole progress?
Yeah, we started with everything in the defense, whether it came to the fronts and then base coverages, and then we got more complex with the coverages. And I think the biggest thing was being able to recognize coverages. We spent a lot of time on demeanor of guys and what they're doing and how they'll show different coverages, and because recognizing you can know the coverage, but if you can't recognize it, it doesn't help you at all. So Just being able to recognize it was big.
Love it. I say this, when it comes to the knowledge of the game of football, I'll talk to parents all the time. If I had a nickel for every time they said, my son's got a great arm. He's got a great arm. He can really throw it. I'm like, oh God, there's a gazillion guys out there who can throw a football. Okay. It's knowing what to do with the football that counts when you're a quarterback. The mental is to the physical as 2:1. The mental is to the physical as 2:1. That means the mental and the understanding of the game, the QBIQ, knowing how to read a defense, understanding your scheme, being able to make those decisions is 2 times more important than the physical abilities. Pauly, is that an accurate statement?
Oh, 100%. I mean, I've never been the biggest or the strongest, having the strongest arm, but I've always been able to compete and win because I know what I'm doing with the ball, and I know what's going on. Being smart is way more important than being able to throw it 60 yards or being 6'5". I mean, being smart is what you need.
Pauly's first start this year was against VMI, Virginia Military Institute. And it was, I don't know, 4th game of the season ish, somewhere in there. And it was terrible, nasty, wicked conditions. Wet, extremely cold, windy. I'm like, oh my God, freshman quarterback. Pauly hasn't really come into his full self physically yet, as far as being able to chuck it, a gazillion yards. He's not that kind of quarterback yet. He's still working on all the physical development. But man, I don't think you threw an incompletion until the 4th quarter. I think you were like 14 for 18 or something like that. And the nastiest conditions. And you're going to share a couple clips with us at the end of this from that. Is that right?
Yep, I have a couple of those on there.
But guys, that just speaks to knowledge of the game, man. What are you going to do with this thing, with this football once it's snapped? Having a plan, understanding your scheme, understanding your progressions. It's so impressive watching that game. I was so excited for you after seeing that. Understanding, having been in that situation as a quarterback, like, I don't even know if I can get a grip on this ball. So impressive stuff. Tell me about this. Tell me about your parents. How did they parent you from an athletic perspective, especially given the fact that they were both elite athletes themselves? For example, when things maybe didn't go well from a young age and in a performance, whether it be a basketball or football game or whatever it was, you get in the car with them after you go home. Maybe you're not feeling real good about yourself or your performance. Tell me about that. How would you assess what maybe you appreciate about how they parented you from that perspective, Pauly?
Yeah, they've been the biggest and most consistent support system that I've had. I mean, whether the good or the bad, they're going to stay the same. And sometimes they're going to tell me what I need to hear, and they'll also tell me what I want to hear. But they've been so consistent with everything and how they support me ever since I can remember. And they always push me because they knew that I wanted to be good, but at the same time, they would just let me be a kid when I needed to. And I think that was the most important thing, because then I never lost the love for the game. I know so many people, so many friends that lost the love of the game, whether it was a coach or a parent or something, that just relentlessly
overbearing
about it, over parent, over coach. And I think the biggest thing is that they never did that. I mean, they were hard on me and they coached me hard, but at the end of the day, they knew that it wasn't the most important thing in the world, and that they let me be a kid, and that just kept love for the game. So it was just so important.
You knew they loved you regardless of your performance, right? They were supportive of you no matter how well you did or didn't do on the field. I love the story of, and your mom's a child development specialist. She was a teacher for 30 years. And she was a top athlete in college. I love the story of when your older sisters were going through high school and basketball. Of course, they both ended up being scholarship basketball athletes in college. And your dad was fired up to, get them up in the morning and get them up to the gym. He had access to the gym, and he would kind of motivate them to get up early in the morning and get to the gym and get some gym time in before school. And I remember your mom kind of pumping the brakes with him. He was telling me this story, and I don't know how it went exactly, but basically she said, "Hey, if these girls don't ask for it, you're not going. You know, let them lead you. Let them be the one to show you that they want to go." And I remember your dad telling me that story. That just meant so much to me to hear that. Of course, in the end, they did want to go. And they didn't. But point is they didn't force it on them. They didn't force it on you. So if there's parents out there listening to this, man, just understand this is your son's journey, not your journey. He's got to love it, or he ain't going very far anyway, right? Your job as a parent is to help them love their sport and help them continue to love their sport. Most kids start playing football or sports to begin with because they want to have fun. It's the things that cause it to stop being fun that causes them to quit playing the sport. You can't develop yourself into a great athlete if you quit the sport. The key is stay involved in the sport. So as a parent, keep the love alive, keep the fun alive. And when you're coaching them and pushing them and criticizing or talking to them in the car on the way home, that's gonna get in the way of that enjoyment, isn't it? So I always encourage parents to, hey man, hey, even after a bad game, let's go get some ice cream, and we'll talk tomorrow if you want to, but love watching you play. I love watching you play. Those things can be so critical. And I know you had that kind of an upbringing, Pauly. Tell us about your recruiting process. When did it start?
Yeah.
What did you learn? And what would you tell young athletes, Pauly?
I think the biggest thing that I tell you is just don't get wrapped up in it. It'll figure itself out. And that's something that I learned the hard way. Because so I started getting recruited after my freshman or after my sophomore season, going into my junior year, picked up a couple offers in the off season.
I remember Western Kentucky, Bowling Green,
Elon in Middle Tennessee.
Middle Tennessee, yeah.
So I picked those up pretty early, and I felt like I just got too wrapped up in the recruiting process because I was always looking for more and I was always looking for bigger, and I think I lost some time, just like with my team, because I was so wrapped up in it that year. And I remember going into my senior year, I made sure that I wasn't wrapped up in it. Because it is a lot, and especially now with the transfer portal, it's going to be a lot. And coaches all are not always truthful, and you can't get wrapped up in what they're saying, and it'll work itself out in the end. It always will.
Mm-hmm. Your success in being recruited came primarily, I would say, obviously you had film. Okay. Your film is your resume, right? You got to have film. I mean, I have parents that expect their kids to get recruited. They don't have film, varsity film, right? You got a varsity film to get recruited. And if you can get varsity film as a sophomore, you're way ahead of the game. Not necessarily required. Most of your good film came from your junior season, I think, but you had sophomore film as well. But I think a lot of your success came from the relationships Coach Hockman had with college coaches when they came through the school saying, who do you got? And credibility with the coaches. And they say, man, you need to check out my quarterback. Okay. Well, those coaches he had credibility with because he hasn't led them astray yet. Okay. If he says that you need to look at this kid, that means the kid has the right grades, the right character, the right, resume of film, and he can play. They believed him. And so when he said, check out Pauly, he's a baller now. Okay. He can play and he's a tremendous leader. And this is what he's doing for our program. Okay. And he's able to tell them from the bottom of his heart what you've meant to the program, leading your teammates, spending time with your teammates, helping your teammates get better, advancing the program as a quarterback. He can only do so much as a coach, but you as a quarterback came in there. He said you advanced his program by 2 years. It would have taken him 2 more years to get to where you guys were if he had to do it alone. That's the credit he gave to you, being able to, the type of leader that you were. So when he talks to a college coach about that, they're gonna check you out, man. And I think that helped you a lot. So I think being in an environment with a coach or a program where a coach has credibility with college coaches, that's just, I think that is huge. Your thoughts?
Yeah, definitely. And spring ball played a huge role in that because coach was able to get coaches in, and then they were able to see me with practice and stuff. But definitely, coach had a lot of good relationships that he was able to get them to the school, and I was able to meet, and that was big in my recruiting.
These one-day showcase camps. I remember Wake Forest was looking at you. You were on their radar, and Coach Regario, the offensive coordinator and quarterback coach, wanted to look at you closer. So they invited you to their one-day showcase camp at Wake Forest. And you came down for that. And then since that's close to my house, you said, hey, we'll come over, we'll spend the night with you. And let's take Pauly to the Duke showcase camp the next day. Okay. So you guys came over and you spent the night after Wake. And we went down to the Duke showcase camp. And you got lost in a sea of quarterbacks. They had no idea who you were. You were not on their radar. So here's a kid who's being pulled out of drills and looked at very closely by Wake Forest. And 45 miles away the next day, okay, you're in the coaches' offices talking to the Wake Forest coaches. They're, you're being recruited by them. They're watching you. The next day you go to Duke, who's not recruiting you, and we sat there. I sat there. I told your dad, they have no idea who Pauly is. I mean, this kid could just be another, point is there's a lot of guys who can spin it, who can throw it, and you threw it well that day. No, but you're not 6'5". You're not going to get the eyeballs like, oh my God, let's watch this, right? So I think when you go to these showcase camps, man, if they don't know who you are, it's almost a waste of time. Maybe not a waste of time because you can still have a good experience, right? And you can see how you stack up against other quarterbacks. But would you agree that you better be invited to those camps for those to really have value?
Yeah, especially when you're older, I'd say being invited is super important. But I remember when I was younger, eighth grade, freshman year, going to those, even if you're not invited, but just getting the experience and understanding, especially for the younger, go to the camps and understand how they work. Understand that you're only going to get this many amount of reps. You got to make everyone count, and you're gonna work on these drills, so then you can work on those in your off time. And I think those definitely doing that when I was younger definitely helped me excel and be able to be on people's radar when I went to them when I was older.
I want to share this right here. 1983, most outstanding quarterback at the Michigan football school. That was me. Had I not gone to that camp, I don't think I would have gone to play college football. When I was at that camp, right before my senior year, I was not being recruited. And I remember I was with the quarterback group. I was 6'4". I was a big kid. I could really throw it, but I was not on any radars. It was a different time, before social media, before technology, before internet, all that. Okay. And I remember walking off the field after for a break, and I heard from behind, hey, Smith. I turned around and there was like a group of like 10 coaches standing around. And these were not only Michigan coaches, they were coaches from other programs around the Michigan area, maybe Grand Valley State, maybe Central Michigan, some different, and just coaches helping run the camp. And they said, hey, come over here, will you? And I said, yeah. So I walk over there, and they said, hey, Eric, would you go out and pick up that football and just give us a 5-step drop and throw it down the field towards the corner of the end zone as far as you can? I'm like, okay. And it was awkward as hell. And I walked out there and I picked up the football. I executed a perfect 5-step drop in rhythm. I set my back foot in the ground and I threw it downfield, 55 yards downfield to the corner of the end zone. And I turned around and looked at them, and they said, thanks. I'm like, okay. And I walked off the field. It was incredibly awkward. The next day, a group of Michigan coaches came up to me and said, hey, do you want to go meet Bo Schembechler? Well, he was the head coach at the time. He was the Dabo Swinney. He was the Nick Saban. Okay. He was the Jim Harbaugh of the time, legendary coach. And I got home and my mailbox started filling up with letters. Well, the point of the story is be ready when an opportunity presents itself. Success is at the intersection of opportunity and preparedness. I had an opportunity there that I was prepared for. Okay. If I wasn't prepared for that opportunity, I would not have had success. And Pauly, I'm sure you can point to times where you had opportunity that you were prepared for, right? Even if it was going down to Savannah to play football and being able to absorb that system quickly and go out on the field and prove to Coach Hockman that you could be successful. And I'm sure when you got to Wofford, you had opportunities, right? That doesn't mean you're going to be successful, but you were prepared for those opportunities. I know how hard you studied that playbook when you showed up as an early enrollee in the spring. So just guys, point is you're going to have opportunities. The question, are you going to be prepared for those opportunities? And that's why you do all the hard work in the off season. That's why you do all the skill development in the off season, the drills, the camps, putting in time with your quarterback coach, studying the game of football. So Pauly, what advice would you give a beginner QB, a recruitable quarterback? What advice would you give to them?
Like Coach said, just stay ready for opportunities, and then just don't stop working. Don't get wrapped up looking at other guys and what they're getting and what they're doing, and just worry about you, worry about how hard you're working, what you can control, and just don't look around. Because when you start looking around, looking at other guys, seeing, oh, they're getting these offers, or they're getting looked at by this guy or this guy, it's not going to help. All it's going to do is be negative on you and just weigh you down. So just put your head down.
The social media game. Talk about the social media game.
Yeah.
By the way, if you guys have questions, type them in the chat. We're going to have a chance for you to unmute and ask questions in the end, but type questions in the chat for now. And then also we'll unmute and give you a chance to ask questions at the end. But yeah, talk about social media.
Yeah, social media sucks. Obviously in this day and age, it's important with some recruiting, and Twitter's big in it, but I just try and stay off it as much as possible, especially during the season when if things aren't going well, you know that you're going to be getting criticized on it, or if things are going right, you're going to be getting praised. And I try and not look at either or, because I don't want to get too low. Did you get recruited
because of social media?
No. It helped.
Didn't have an impact, did it? Yeah.
No, it didn't. Yeah. It didn't impact as much as you think it would. Obviously, social media is a little important nowadays, but I just try and stay off it as much as possible.
I want to share this too. This is a good time. Pauly's talking about controlling his environment, staying off social media so he doesn't get distracted. I want to share something here. I had a few things queued up that I really thought were really cool things to share about Pauly. So I went down to watch Pauly play his senior year. I went down to watch a game. I showed up early on purpose, and I said, I want to see him warm up. So I want to watch Pauly warm up. And this is Pauly's warm up, his senior year in high school. I'm going to roll this for you guys. Notice the routine he's going through. Okay, he's just not kind of standing around throwing the ball to receivers. Okay, I want you to notice how he's moving his eyes around. He's going through progressions, imaginary progressions. Okay, and he's not really throwing to his first progression. He resets his feet and throws to secondary progressions during his warm-ups. See that? Throwing the backside route, the second or third read. All right, no, but that's not good enough. We got to add a little slide in the pocket move here. Okay, we got to take this thing to the next level. Let's slide. Okay, create some space and throw. Love the intentionality of that, Pauly. One of my favorite videos of you I ever saw. I'm so glad I pulled out my camera and watched that. And then we go into the locker room afterwards, and I see Pauly sitting there, right there, all by himself, and getting quiet moment by himself. Everyone else has got their headphones on. They're on their phones. They're talking. Pauly finds some space in the corner. He quiets his mind. He's doing some deep breathing. He's doing some visualization. And then he decides that he's going to surround himself with a couple players and flank himself so that he doesn't get distracted from other people. They're not going to invade his space while he's trying to prepare mentally for the game. Of course, it's no surprise that Pauly goes out and throws for like 350 yards and like 4 or 5 touchdowns that game. No surprise, because he was prepared mentally to go play football. In this world today that we have of continual distractions, constant noise, our cell phones, ding, 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 ding. My son goes, "Hey, Dad, watch this video." And I start to watch this video on his phone, and it's like all I see is these notifications coming across his screen. I'm like, dude, who's in control here? Right? This technology. I mean, let's get real, guys. Let's get real. This stuff is like fire, okay? You can cook your food with fire, and it can also burn your house down. Okay? It's a tool. Okay? Are you a slave to this technology, or are you the master? Are you the slave or the master? Okay, that's the question. Are you serving it, or is it serving you? Okay, and I think Pauly's done a tremendous job of letting technology serve him. Okay, not him serving it. He's in control. He's the master of his domain and his environment. Pauly, thank you for setting that example and allowing me to witness that. That was huge. And I share that story so often. And I'm glad I got a chance to document it with some photos and some video. But talk about that a little bit, Pauly. In a high-tech, high-noise world, how do you stay sane?
Yeah, I mean, especially during the season, I just try and stay off of social media entirely, because whether you're playing well and you're getting a bunch of praise, or you don't have a good game and it's all negative, both of those are not great for you. Obviously, you want to see all the praise that you're getting, but you never want to get too high and you never want to get too low. So I think staying off of it especially during the season, as much as possible, just help you stay calm and level throughout the season.
Talk about controlling your routines, Pauly. Routines throughout the off season, throughout the game week, and also pre-game. If you could take us through a little bit of that. What are some of your routines that you think allow you to be successful?
Yeah, so off season, definitely a couple things that I think about is lifting and throwing 3 times a week, and then 3 times a week each, and then especially having a day or two of rest. But I think consistency in what you're doing, whether you're going to throw two times or 3 times, I think staying consistent with it and just keeping your body right as much as possible in the off season is nice. And then on game week, I think the biggest thing is just watching film. Obviously, in practice, you're going to be getting enough throwing, so you don't need to go out and throw extra. But knowing as much about your opponent as possible is huge. So I try before bed to watch our practice from the day, and then watch at least 30 to 40 minutes of our opponent every night.
Every night, you're watching film. Okay, talk about this visualization, this imagery, your breathing. I mean, what are you doing there, Pauly, that you think is serving you well?
Yeah, before games, I definitely like to sit and find a quiet spot and just. We always have a script of our first so many plays, and I like to go through those in my mind and go through everything that could happen. Whether I hit the first read, I hit the check down to the running back, or I take off running. And everything that I visualize is always.
So you're going through progressions in your mind, Paul?
Yeah, going through progressions, going through plays, whether it's a handoff, making sure I'm opening up, I'm stepping here, I'm finishing, I'm doing my play fake, and just visualizing
rehearsing in your mind, right?
Yep, and visualizing every play to success.
Okay, so you're rehearsing in your mind, mental imagery. Jack Nicklaus, one of the best golfers ever in the world, said he never hit a shot that he didn't visualize the flight of the ball before he hit the shot. This is powerful stuff that I don't think young kids are well, I know they're not taught. They have no idea how to do it. They don't understand the power of it. But something that I'm very passionate about teaching young quarterbacks is how to mental imagery, how to visualize. What's the process? I use this concept called BALL, B-A-L-L. We're ballers, right? B stands for breathing. So we go through a breathing exercise. We close our eyes, we take deep breaths, we exhale, we go through this to calm our minds down, to calm our bodies down, to close our eyes and to kind of just relax. Okay. And then A is affirmations. We may say some things that, hey, I'm 10 foot tall and bulletproof, or I'm built for tough moments, or I'm prepared to be my best when the situation requires my best, or whatever your affirmation is. Have your own affirmation. So that's A. Okay. And then L is look backwards. So this is the visualization part. Look, L stands for look back on previous performances where you've had success. Okay. See yourself in your mind's eye executing those plays. Right. And then the other L, the second L, stands for look forward. Let's take those positive images and let's project them into our upcoming game. Okay. And going through that process has been transformational for many athletes that I've worked with. That simple concept of ball, but you have to be intentional about it. Okay. And it takes some practice. And something I've always done from an early age, before all this health, the mental science was, before it was available to the public. I remember as a young man back in your hometown of Alma, Michigan, going through some of that stuff myself. But I swore by it. Tell us about, hey, this hasn't all been a bed of roses, Pauly. Tell us about times where you've doubted yourself. Tell us about times where you've questioned, man, can I do this? What were some low points, and how did you get through those things, Pauly?
Yeah, so I think one of the low points was going into my senior season. It was the beginning of June at a camp. I broke my foot, and I had to miss the whole off season, and I didn't get cleared till right before the game. And I can remember the first couple nights just sitting in my room, just thinking, why me, and feeling sorry for myself. And then a couple days later, it clicked that I can be doing something to be helping. And I can remember going to practice every day on a scooter, trying to help as much as possible, trying to coach guys, trying to help out my backup as much as possible. And I think no matter how low you get, or the situation, you can always be useful, and you can always find a way to help.
I love that. I say that when you're giving to someone else, when you're helping someone else, or when you're grateful, when you're showing gratitude or expressing gratitude, it's hard to feel sorry for yourself and be grateful at the same time. And that's what you did, man. You're grateful. I'm in a position to help some other people. I'm going to get outside of my head and go out and help other people. And by doing so, you snapped yourself out of a negative mindset, I think. Pauly, that's awesome. How'd you come to that mindset that, man, I'm just going to go out and see what I can do to help? Was that something you needed to do to survive, Pauly, or?
Yeah, and I get that from my parents too. When I see from them, when things aren't going well, you can't just sit around and feel sorry for yourself. You just got to keep going and find solutions.
Good stuff, man. Give us a one or two ahas about college football. What were your big one or two ahas? Like, what'd you really learn about college football that really struck you this year here in your first year?
Yeah, I think the first one was the first day of spring practice, when just realizing how fast everything is. Mm-hmm. I mean, you can play at one of the best high schools in the country, but once you step onto that college field, everything is faster. And I remember within my first week, waiting for a receiver to get open, trying to get it to him late, and just getting picked in one of my first reps of the week. And just you just gotta anticipate stuff, and it's fast. And just I remember just having to man up in the situation and realize that I'm here for a reason, and this is why I'm here. And yeah, no, that was, thinking about it, it was a crazy experience.
Look, let's be honest. You're not a guy who can chuck it downfield 70 yards. You're not a guy who's going to can thread a needle from 40 yards away because you have an overpowering arm. You're not a guy who's going to beat a team with your physical abilities. Now, that's something you're working on, and I think you're going to continue to get that. But you're young, right? You're young. You're still developing. You're still growing. You're hitting the weight room. You're developing that physical side. How important are the mental aspects, understanding the game? I almost think that sometimes our physical limitations can be a blessing to us because I was like you. I beat out guys who were far more physically able than me because I understood I had a plan with the football. I didn't know what I was going to do with the ball. How important, Pauly, is the mental aspect, and how has that helped you be successful?
First off, you got to know your playbook inside and out. I mean, I remember I got it when I signed, and I went to my dad's office every single day, and we worked on it for hours. And just knowing what you're going to do with the ball is so important. You got to know everything about your offense, every play, every read. You got to know what the line's doing. You got to know everything that you got to do for the play. And then what comes with that is knowing the defense. And because so many plays are going to be determined by what the defense does. So knowing the defense inside and out, knowing your playbook inside and out, everything comes together.
Pauly, you're going to take us through a couple examples, aren't you?
Yep.
I asked Pauly if he would be willing to share some things. Pauly, let me turn this thing over to you, if you would, please. Let's share some knowledge of the game of football from a mental aspect with these young quarterbacks. Let's kind of open their minds up to to things that they need to understand.
Yeah. So I got a couple clips.
You guys get your questions ready now. Type them in the chat, or just be ready to ask them because Q&A is coming up.
So this was from my first start, and this is
at VMI.
Yep, this is VMI, and this is probably my third or fourth pass of the game. And with this one, I just wanted to show the getting through reads and being patient.
Can you go full screen, Pauly?
I can zoom in a little bit.
There you go. Okay, good. Love it.
So with this play, we start up at the top of the field, and we're working our way back to the boundary. So just staying patient, not trying to force anything.
Look at the disguised coverage down here. Can you go back to the beginning, Pauly, and watch all those defensive backs? Look at the guy down here who's threatening, and then he drops back into coverage.
Let me go from. So just staying patient in the pocket, not forcing anything, and let things develop.
What kind of a read is this? Is this a full field read here, Pauly? Or look at your eyes. Yeah.
Play that one more time.
You notice his eyes, guys.
I have another one of those.
Go back to that first clip, Pauly, and let's see that now that we see what your eyes were doing. He hits his back foot and then he resets, guys. He resets his feet and comes back to his second or third read on the opposite side of the field. But if you're gonna start on one side of the field and move your eyes and throw on the opposite side of the field, guys, you better be coming off that first read quickly. You notice how quickly Pauly came off those first reads and moved, was able to get to his other progressions.
Then this is kind of the same concept of just getting through. Now we're getting through everything, staying patient, taking what they give you.
Mm-hmm.
And then just finding a way when conditions are terrible, just get them the ball.
You can see the water on the lens of the camera. You can just see how nasty this environment is. Pauly, what's going through your mind on your first college start under such nasty conditions? And you handled it so well, but what?
Yeah, it's not fun to have those conditions, but that's something that we knew we were going to have going into that week, and our coach harped on just control what you can control. And I knew I couldn't control how muddy or wet the ball was, so that was just something I tried not to think about and just play.
Yep.
I skipped right here. So another thing that I wanted to focus on was just take what they give you. This was third and I think 7 or 8. And sometimes the best thing is just take off running. Especially teams that want to drop back and play coverage on you. This is something that I haven't done enough. That's definitely important is just take off running when they give it to you. I'm not a big runner.
Yeah, that was the clip there is a little broken up, but yeah, here you go. Set your feet and there you go. Go pick up a first down with your feet. Is that something you're looking to do more of? You do have good feet and you have great pocket, movement in the pocket. It's just very efficient with your footwork.
Yep.
Keeping your feet, moving, keeping a wide base. Look
And
at
then
base, guys.
And then with this one, as playing quarterback, you're gonna throw picks, you're gonna mess up, and that's just a part of the game. I mean, if you want to throw touchdowns, you're gonna have to throw picks too. And this
Yep.
was actually week 3 in the fourth quarter. Our starter goes down. This is my first college pass, and you just can't be afraid to take shots because if you don't take shots, you're not gonna make big plays. Yeah, so those were the main things that I wanted to show. Not being afraid to take shots, take off running when you can, and then just stay patient.
Pauly started playing this year because of an injury to a fifth-year senior. And then when the fifth-year senior got healthy towards the end of the year after Pauly had played 7 games and played well in 7 games, the coach sat the quarterbacks down and he goes, "Hey, we're going to have competition this week in practice and to determine who's going to start the next game." Pauly, one of the things I really appreciate about you is how competitive you are, how much you love to compete. I've spent time with Pauly's family, and it's amazing and so fun to see how, like when he's around his sisters who are college athletes, his older sisters, how competitive they are. I don't care if we're playing little pickup hoops or if we're playing volleyball or if we're playing cards. Pauly wants to compete, man. And so Pauly, talk about how you embrace those challenges, how you're not afraid of that. I mean, that's something that I think today, so many young kids want things to be given to them. They want to show up and have things handed to them. They don't understand that really, hey, no, we want to earn it, right? I love that mentality that you have. Where did that come from? What's your mindset towards competition?
Yeah, I think it comes from just growing up, always getting beat up on by my older sisters. You got to compete for everything. All we did when I was younger was compete, and I think that's why, like going into situations like these, I'm like, good. I mean, you're going to compete anywhere you're at any level. You're always going to have competition, somebody coming for you. So being able to embrace it and not worry about what this guy's doing or that guy that you're competing with, worry about what you're doing on each play, each rep, and just embracing the competition.
You think competition makes you better?
100%. If you don't have a good quarterback room, you're not going to have a good quarterback.
It's awesome. So we love competition, don't we?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, good stuff. What questions do we have for Pauly? Guys, unmute, ask questions. This is about you. Come on.
Like, what questions not questions, but what advice do you have for academics, and like what are college coaches and even high school coaches looking for with your academics?
Yeah, you got to stay on top of your grades. One thing that I've learned is that if you're not on top of your grades, if you don't know what's going on with your classes, you're not going to be able to succeed on the field. And obviously with recruiting, academics is huge because they're looking for smart quarterbacks. And if you can't produce in the classroom, then you're not going to be able to produce on the field.
Pauly, from the chat, what is Pauly's favorite pass play or concept? And also in the red zone. What's your favorite pass concept, Pauly? And then what do you like in the red zone?
My favorite concept is definitely four verts.
Mm-hmm. Walk us through that.
Drive. Finding seams and being able to throw seam balls and deep balls is fun. And then I love drive because you're getting athletes on the move. And one of the biggest things as a quarterback is be a point guard, get the ball to your athletes and let them do their thing.
Can you
And
draw up
especially,
drive for us? You have a whiteboard or something? Yep.
all right. So this
What do we
one's
got?
actually from high school.
Love it.
This was probably my go-to play all the time. We would have, so this is where the four verts and the drive come together.
Okay, so what's the personnel? Tell them what the walk them through it, Pauly. Teach these guys. What's the personnel grouping here? What do we got?
Yep,
We
so we
got
got
one
11
tight end,
one tight end,
Wait, what?
one running back. So we got 11 personnel.
11 personnel, one tight end, and one running back. 11 personnel. Okay.
And this is one of my favorite plays ever because you read it from the field back or the boundary back to the field, and you have we call them gift throws over here. If you like it, you take it, and then you just read back, let your athletes run to you, and you can get them the ball.
So okay, so you got the gift right there, and then your progression is going to go from one, which is the seam. Now you've got him bending it here. The number one receiver, does he bend it versus like a cover two?
Yep.
Okay.
If he has a safety over top,
So add some safeties there. Drop a coverage, Pauly.
Yep.
Let's go. Let's go next level here.
So
Okay.
one second. Where's this at?
This is how we get better as quarterbacks, guys. We draw up plays versus different defensive.
So here's
looks.
a kind of a one high look with the
One high
safety.
look. Yep.
And this is when they would stay on their seam throw, because then you'd have a quarterbacking up.
Yep.
So that they'd be able to stay in there.
We got a three high look. Mm-hmm.
And then when you get two high looks,
yep.
When you get two high looks, this is when the bending is awesome. They push their grass, get up into them, and then bend it in the middle for a nice hole shot right there.
Yep.
But yeah, this was definitely my favorite play from high school.
And you've learned to throw that seam ball quickly over the years, I bet, haven't you?
Got to be on time, yes, sir.
Yeah. Good, great stuff. Okay, let me see. If you could go back to your freshman year in high school, what would you change, Pauly?
Definitely just not take advantage of the time. It goes by fast. And
let me tell you guys something about Pauly. Pauly, not because of academics, Pauly repeated the 8th grade. Talk about that, Pauly. Pauly repeated, let me say that again. He repeated the 8th grade, because Pauly was undersized. Okay. And he knew he had plans, he had goals, he wanted to play college football, and he knew how important physical development was to his success. And I think that was awesome. That ended up being a great decision.
Yeah, so going into my freshman year, I broke my arm, and I knew I wasn't going to be able to be healthy for the season. And I was fortunate enough to be able to redo 8th grade. And if any of you guys have opportunities like that, I would take them. It's one of the best decisions I made. It put me so far ahead in developing, and then just
mentally and emotionally. Yeah, maturity.
Yeah. And no, it was definitely one of the best decisions I made.
Gabrielle wants to know how important is pocket footwork, Pauly.
It's one of the most important things you can do. If you don't have balance with good footwork, you're not going to be able to make any throw. So that's something that I definitely work on as much as possible.
Let me show you guys something. Okay, here's Pauly. This is Bailey Hockman, his high school coach's son who played for NC State and Florida State. Okay, this is all in my app, guys. I want to talk to you guys about my app when we're done here, my QB development app. This is Bailey Hockman when he was a quarterback at NC State. We went out to a local park and we did some drills. Remember this, Pauly?
Yep.
Doing the diamond drill, working on his footwork, working on his pocket mobility, just sliding and gliding. Just sliding and gliding, tuck and run. There's Bailey. Now here's Pauly. There's the young Pauly Seeley, probably a sophomore, between your sophomore and junior year. Look at him working the pocket drill there, guys. That's good footwork right there. We got that base, that wide base, eyes downfield, ball in the pre-pass position. He's balanced, he's sliding, he's gliding. He's flipping the hips. Okay, boom. That's good stuff. That's in my app. I remember that. That was a fun day. What's the hardest part of being a college quarterback?
I don't know if I can name one. I mean, it's one of most difficult things you can do mentally, physically. But if you love it and you enjoy it, it won't feel like it's hard because it'll just feel like learning. And that's something that I got to remind myself that I'm here for a reason and I love it. So when it gets overwhelming and it gets very difficult, that it helps me stay focused.
The grind. It's a grind physically, and as Pauly's finding out, it's a grind mentally as well. That mental grind is something to behold, isn't it, Pauly?
Mm-hmm.
What's your relationship with your offensive coordinator? Does he ask you what plays, concepts you like and don't like, or what to keep or remove from the call sheet? Great message, Darren, or great question.
Yeah, no, definitely having a good relationship is huge. And in some of the games that I didn't play this year, I was right there in his ear helping him with play calls, and he was always asking for my input on things and asking what I saw, and just having good relationship is huge.
Eden Fawcett asks, how hard is it to understand coverages and the plays? Eden, you need to get my app. I've got about 30 videos. Well, I've got hundreds of videos. You just saw one of them, but I've got about 30 videos of Pauly's high school coach in the QB room on the chalkboard, on the whiteboard, teaching coverages, teaching understanding of the game of football. Okay, that's in the app. Pauly, how important is that? Understanding coverages.
Yeah, it's super important. It's going to feel overwhelming and hard at first, but just stick with it and keep doing it little by little, and before you know it, you'll know everything you want to know, and you'll still keep working to know more.
Yeah, understanding coverages, guys, is probably more important than knowing how to throw the football and move your feet. Yes, you have to know how to throw. You have to know how to move your feet. Okay, but once you know how to do that, it's like getting to first base. If you want to get around the bases and get to home plate, you better understand coverages. You better understand the mental aspects of the game. Let me see. What should I do to prepare myself for middle school football?
Just keep working. Just keep working. That's all there is to it. Don't worry about. I know there's a lot with younger kids worrying about recruiting stuff early. Just don't worry about any of that. Focus on your team. Focus on just getting better.
Absolutely. Do something every day to get better.
Yep.
Okay. And again, guys, at the end of this video, I've got some solutions for you to develop yourself. So just hang tight. Do you have a stretching routine, Pauly? And how important is stretching to you?
Stretching is super important. I currently do not have a routine, and stretching is something that I definitely need to be better at. And I actually have an appointment with this stretching place actually tomorrow because I need to get on a good routine. And stretching is super important. Definitely start stretching as much as you can. Be flexible. Helps with athletic ability. Helps with injury. Helps with everything.
I say this, guys, for the quarterbacks: physical development, strength gains, weight room. All that stuff is important to a point, and then you'll get to a point where it becomes counterproductive. Will make you a worse quarterback. Okay, you want strength, but as important at the same, you want strength without losing range of motion. Okay, really important for quarterback. That's why Tom Brady just worked out with bands. He didn't do any weights throughout most of his professional career. He went to bands so he could maintain that range of motion, still do strength work and stay strong. But more importantly is range of motion with quarterbacks. So I always say do lots of exercises like hanging from a bar, pulley pulls, things you're doing to maintain range of motion's really important for quarterbacks. Don't just become a meathead in the weight room and try to be a weight room warrior. It's going to work to your detriment. Believe me, I've seen it happen many times. Somebody wants to know if you had to gain or cut weight, Pauly.
I'm still currently trying to gain weight. Yep, gaining weight, and it's difficult. But so if it's something that you got to do, there's so many ways you can look things up, and I know TikTok has actually helped me with finding ways to gain weight.
Okay, good. Lots of protein, Pauly.
Oh yeah, yep. Protein shakes a lot.
Yep. Okay, lots of protein. That's meat, fish, chicken, dairy. Yep. There's lots of ways to get protein in your system, but you got to do it to gain muscle. That's the building block for muscle is protein. And is college football fun? Kyle Brown wants to know.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. It's a lot of work, but it is worth it. 100%.
Awesome. I love it. Anything else? Anybody want to unmute and ask, or anything else in the chat? I think we've covered everything in the chat. Unless somebody wants to unmute and ask a question. Okay, Pauly. I can't say enough, Pauly, about how proud I am of you and your journey and the way you're approaching things, your mentality, your state of mind, your leadership, how you're connecting with teammates, how you're intentionally leading other people, not only by example, but by building those relationships with them, spending time with them, looking for opportunities to help all your teammates get better, looking for opportunities to energize your teammates, to catch them doing good things. All that stuff that you do from an intentional standpoint is so impressive. I love your mindset, the way you approach this game. I think you're going to just be wildly successful at the college level and possibly beyond. I think the sky is the limit for you because of all these intangibles that you have that most quarterbacks don't have. So keep working hard, buddy. We're all inspired. I'm super proud of you. And thanks so much for being on this call, Pauly. Really appreciate you taking the time to share with these youngsters. It really means a lot to all of us.
Yeah, thanks, Coop. Thanks for having me. Thank you all for coming and listening. If you guys
how do people follow you, Pauly? If they want to follow you, like on social, or
I was gonna say
reach out, ask you questions, hit you up. How do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, all my handles are just my name, Pauly Seeley. Find me on Instagram or Twitter, and you guys can ask me questions. I'll answer. And it was really nice to get to know some of you guys, and thank you for having me, Coach.
Okay, you got it, buddy. Thanks so much.
Thanks.
We'll catch up soon. Now, before we go, guys, I said I'd offer you guys a solution, and I want to follow through on that. I'm going to take just 4 minutes here, and I'm going to share a video, guys. I've got a QB development app. I've taken my body of knowledge, having played the position, having coached quarterbacks for so many years. I've put all this stuff in an app, a QB development app, and I want to offer you guys tonight, if you'll just kind of bear with me for a minute, and let me share this opportunity. Should this be a solution you think makes sense for you, okay, I'm going to offer you a way to get this app in your hands so you have my training and my coaching in your pocket at all times. Okay, so let me share this with you, and then I'm going to offer you guys a special discount. Hey, it's Coach Smith with Winning Edge. I'm really excited to talk to you about my all-new QB development app. It's an app on your phone that is like having me as a coach in your pocket. All you got to do is get this thing out and swipe through the various modules and drills so that you can become a better quarterback. It includes 8 important aspects of becoming a great quarterback. First of all, skill development. There's modules on throwing, there's modules on QB drops, footwork, pocket mobility drills, play action mechanics that incorporate both lesson and drills that you can go through on your own in your driveway or in your backyard. Modules on physical development, which allow you to strengthen and stabilize your shoulder, arm, and your core so that you're a more accurate passer, so that you're a stronger passer, while providing injury prevention as well. There's QB-specific agility and speed development modules. There's also mental aspect modules where we take you in the film room or in the QB room up on the chalkboard with renowned coaches nationally that teach the game of football from an IQ standpoint, understanding the game of football. Things like understanding defensive fronts and defensive schemes and defensive coverages and how to attack those things. You got to know what you're doing with the ball. If you want to reach your fullest potential as a quarterback, you have to be smart and you have to know the game. Also, we have modules on leadership development so you can get into and deepen the relationship with your teammates and be a leader both on and off the field and in your community. I'm certified with the leading leadership organization in the world, the John Maxwell Organization. I love teaching leadership. Also, mental performance coaching. It's a new passion of mine. I love teaching how your mind works, how to control your mind prior to and during performances so that if you start to lose control or if doubt starts to creep into your mind, you have mechanisms, strategies to get you grounded and back on track. Also, mental imagery and breathing techniques. All these things are so important and they're not coached. Well, I'm going to coach it. I'm going to teach you how you're going to have it in the app. So there's two ways to get the QB app. Number one, be in a current coaching relationship with me, and it's included. Or if you're remote or don't live in the area, you can get it on a standalone basis. And it includes checking in with me on a weekly Zoom call where we talk football inside the QB room and we talk quarterback development. Go to winningedgeskills.com to learn more, or just pick up the phone and call me. If you want to learn more about the comprehensive nature of this app, then just continue watching this video past this point to get a better feel for what this app has to offer. Look forward to connecting with you soon. Thank you so much for watching.
The thing I really like about it is that it's very organized and there's modules for different sections. Like I've been working on the QB core development to help me stabilize myself when I throw. And there's modules, so you can just click on it, it'll show you every lesson. And it's very easy to get to because you can just pull it up on your phone and you can just go to the module and it's very easy to get to. It helps me because when I'm at my home and I'm like training by myself, I can just pull up the app. And if I see something I want to work on, like drops, throws, mechanics, workouts and stuff, I can just go and find it super easily. I can just find the module, find it, and click on a lesson and go work on it. So before I started working in person with Coach Smith, me and my dad would look at the videos and we'd go through them. And then when I started coming to his camps, I saw the relation between all the drills and stuff. So when I got back, I could kind of focus on it and go through all the drills and relate it to when I came here in person.
Well, I just look at the videos, I answer a few questions about it, and I do them right there in my room. It's helped me get better because I'm learning a lot about my drops, strength and training, exercises that I should be doing daily, and stuff about throwing the ball.
Okay, so guys, what I'm offering tonight, if you want to take advantage of this, you want to get the app, then I'm giving you a $50 discount. It's normally $249 for a 1-year subscription to the app. I've got hundreds of lessons and drills on all those aspects I talked about, including multiple sessions in the quarterback room, on the chalkboard, and in the film room with Pauly's high school coach, Kyle Hockman, one of the best in the country, teaching the game of football, teaching the mental aspects, understanding the game, the IQ part of the game. So tons of stuff in there. It's like having me in your pocket. But you get $50 off if you want to subscribe tonight. Just type in when you go to subscribe, type in the discount code QB Zoom. QB Zoom is the discount code, and that'll save you $50. So it'll be $199. If you're local, if you're in North Carolina, you want to do some work together. Several of you on this call, I have a personal coaching relationship with. Looking forward to continuing that. But if you're remote and you don't, just get the app. Okay, get the app. It's like I'm there. I'm right there in your pocket. Anytime you get bored, instead of going to TikTok or YouTube or Facebook, any of those things are going to drain your energy that are all negative, or you're not going to grow, you can use that technology. Like I said, technology is like fire. You can burn your house down with it, or you can cook your food with it. Okay. So example of cooking your food with it was pull my app up and start learning how to build yourself as a leader, learn the game of football, do some drills in your driveway, in your backyard, and grow yourself that way. So, take advantage of that. Just go to winningedgeskills.com, and then you're going to go to /mobile academy. winningedgeskills.com /mobile academy.